Alright, everybody, welcome back to Exotic Astrology. And it's pitch dark here, and I'm wanting to start something romantic today because today is a Friday, but the time I upload this video will be Saturday, the day of Saturn. It is okay because Venus and Saturn are friends in astrology, yes. Do you understand? Friends in astrology. Welcome back again to Exotic Astrology, and if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, then please subscribe to it. And if you like this video, then please place the like button. These are standard things which I have to say, right? I don't know, I'm feeling very jolly today, so I thought to make a video on something very jolly. Everybody is interested to know this topic. My God, so many requests I have got. And pertaining to all the requests, as your servant, I have made this video here. What's the name? Yes, the best time to get into a relationship. Can't be a video better than this, right? Some people are telling me, why did I not make this video in day one? I would have become very famous. But okay, better late than never. Yes. Finally, what does the concept of relationship mean in astrology? It simply means that our houses connected to relationship or marriage has become active. Now here I will give two scenarios because people are interested to know both of them. First, I will tell about marriage. Okay, what are the conditions? And remember, these are only by transits. I am not seeing dashas, which are time periods in Vedic astrology. This does not mean that transits do not work or dasha only works. Yes, dasha is the ultimate answer. But here I do not know the dasha to see everybody's personal birth horoscope. So I am just giving a broad spectrum of placements by a transit to know when can possibly a person get into a relationship or get married. What is the first indicator? Well, there are several indications. We will discuss about it. For the first case of relationships, if you are single, I will also tell about breakups. Now, if you are single and if you are planning to mingle, what are the best times as per transit? You have to see which houses does Sun transit. For example, if Sun is transiting the 5th house, the 7th house, 11th house, or the 1st house, or the 8th house. Should I repeat? The 1st, 5th, 7th, 8th, or the 11th house. Why these houses? Because 1st house represents you, your image, your looks, your appearance. Yes? 5th house is the house of love and romance. 7th house is the house of relationships. 8th house is the house of intimacy, sexual encounters. And 11th house is also the house of friends, network circles, gains, people, associations. That means when Sun is transiting the 1st, 5th, 7th, 8th, or 11th house, these time periods can be very powerful for you to look for getting into a new relationship. Or now for a man's horoscope, I am saying this is for a man. If in a man's horoscope Venus is transiting the 1st, 5th, 7th, 8th, or the 11th house, same placements like the Sun, then also it is a very powerful time, especially if Venus is in 1st or 5th or 7th, these three houses is transiting there. Okay, then it's a very powerful time to get into a new relationship, to go into dating websites. And for a woman, the same rule applies. But for women also things can happen when Mars is transiting over your 7th house or the first house or the 5th house or the 8th house or 11th house. Primarily the first house or 5th house or 7th house. These three houses, because Mars represents the masculine energy. So when Mars is transiting your 1st or 5th or 7th, this means that you are coming in association with masculine energy. Now, this is as per houses, which you would have understood. Now, what about placements of planets and transit of planets over it? Those can also act as trigger points. For example, if a man has his Venus in the 2nd house, which is not connected to 1st, 5th, 7th, 8th, or 11th house, and his Venus is transiting over his natal Venus. Okay, suppose he is a, let me give you an example, he is a Scorpio ascendant and his Venus is in the sign of Sagittarius in the birth horoscope. So now, when in the next 4 months Venus enters the sign of Sagittarius, so Venus will be over his original Venus in his birth time. Okay, so that time is also a good time where he can think of venturing into a new relationship if it's possible for him. Or now, this is as per the original placement of the planet Venus. And similarly, for a woman, if Mars is transiting over Venus, for example, if a lady is a Capricorn ascendant and she has Mars in the 2nd house in the sign of Aquarius, and when Venus is transiting over Mars, okay, when Venus is transiting in Aquarius, or for ladies, when Mars transits over your Venus, for example, if a lady is a Libra ascendant and she has Mars in the sign of Scorpio, or sorry, Venus in the sign of Scorpio in the 2nd house, then when Mars transits over Scorpio, that is another time where you can venture into a new relationship. Is that understood? So for a man's horoscope, Venus transiting over the natal Venus, the same is for a woman, and for women another case is Mars transiting over their natal Venus. These can also act as trigger points. What about Jupiter and Saturn? I made a video on double transit. If you have not watched, then please go and watch it. Jupiter and Saturn in transit, if they are aspecting the 5th house, 7th house, or 11th house, 5th house, 7th house, or 11th house, then this is a very powerful time to get into a new relationship. Or it is aspecting Venus. Is it understood? Because wherever Jupiter and Saturn simultaneously aspects for 1 year or for the months till the time they are both aspecting, which is generally for 1 year, because Jupiter aspects one house for a year and Saturn aspects one house for 2.5 to 3 years, which goes to tell me that if Jupiter and Saturn are aspecting one house for supposedly 1 year, and if that house is your 5th house, 7th house, or 11th house, because 11th house is the gain of anything, okay, then 5 and 7, if Jupiter and Saturn are simultaneously aspecting, or if, for example, now in the current time, suppose somebody is a Sagittarius ascendant, or suppose somebody is a Libra ascendant. So for Libra ascendant, what is happening? Jupiter is in Libra, it will aspect the 5th house where Aquarius is, right? And Saturn from October 26th will be in Sagittarius, and from Sagittarius with its 3rd aspect it will aspect the sign of Aquarius, which is again 5th house. And Jupiter from Libra is also aspecting Aries, which is the original 7th house for you. Yes, so now Jupiter is aspecting the 7th house for a Libra ascendant, and Jupiter Saturn are both aspecting Aquarius, which is your 5th house. which means that is a very powerful time, especially for childbirth. Because fifth house, when Jupiter Saturn combinedly aspects, shows childbirth. But these days we also take fifth house for love romance. Now, why I'm taking example of Libra ascendant is because both the fifth and seventh houses are getting affected by the transit of Jupiter Saturn. That is why I am taking the example of Libra ascendant. Or when Jupiter Saturn are combinedly aspecting Venus. Best is if they are aspecting in combination. For example, now I made the video on Jupiter Saturn's double transit. Where will Jupiter and Saturn combinedly aspect? The signs of Gemini and Aquarius, right? Because Jupiter aspects the ninth from Libra and fifth from Libra, which is fifth is Aquarius, ninth is Gemini. Saturn aspects the third and seventh. So for Sagittarius, third is the sign of Aquarius and seventh is the sign of Gemini. So anybody, if you are having Venus, irrespective of you are a male or a female, if you are having Venus in the sign of Gemini or in the sign of Aquarius, then it can be a time for you to get married. More than relationship, I would say marriage, because Venus officially represents the spouse, married spouse, okay? Also, it can represent affairs. Is it understood? If you are confused, then go and watch this video again, because there are many details which I have given here. Now, what about marriage? Marriage has nothing to do with the fifth house or the eighth house, because marriage is seen through the houses 2, 7, 11, because marriage is an official contract, okay? Because it is the signature, which is what Libra, the seventh house, where Saturn gets exalted. And it also gets Digbali, directional strength, in the seventh house, apart from being exalted in the sign of Libra. So now, if Jupiter and Saturn are combinedly aspecting the second house, for example, if somebody is a Capricorn ascendant, now his Aquarius is in the second house. So Jupiter and Saturn will combinedly aspect Aquarius for the next 1 year. That means it is a very powerful time for him or her to get married in the next 1 year. If the dasha is supporting, provided. Or if they are aspecting the seventh house. Now why 2, 7, 11? Because second house is the house of family. And seventh house is marriage, and 11th house is gain of anything, gain of relationships turning into marriage, which goes to tell me that if Jupiter and Saturn are aspecting the 7th house or 11th house or second house combined, or either of them is aspecting, then also it is a very powerful time to get married. So for the next 1 year, if these two signs, Gemini and Aquarius, is falling either in the second house, 7th house or 11th house, for whichever ascendants, as I gave you the example, one is Capricorn ascendant, yes, the other group of ascendant is Taurus, because for Taurus, Gemini is their second house. The other group of ascendants is who? Sagittarius, because for Sagittarius, Gemini falls in the 7th house, and Jupiter, Saturn both are aspecting Gemini. And the other group is Leo, because for Leo, Aquarius falls in the 7th house. Am I being understood here? And who are the other two ascendants, where Aquarius and Gemini is in the 11th house? You decide, that's your test. It's very easy, just 2 minutes it takes, right? Just 2 minutes it will need you to think which are the ascendants that have Gemini and Aquarius in their 11th house. Should I tell it? No. Yes, you are right. Leo ascendants and Aries ascendants. So for these six group of ascendants, it is very powerful to get married. Or as I said, if Venus is situated anywhere in your horoscope, for a man or a woman, in any house, unless it is the sixth house, and Gemini Aquarius is falling in the sixth house, unless, then there might be some challenges in getting married. But in general, apart from the sixth house, if Venus is situated in any of the other rest 11 houses where your Gemini and Aquarius is falling, yes, Venus can be in Gemini in any house, Venus can be in Aquarius in any house, then for the next 1 year it's a very powerful time to get married. And for love affairs especially, we see the eighth house because that's the house of sexuality and indulgences, which happens these days, right? That is why eighth house also becomes important. And suppose you are married and now Jupiter-Saturn is combinedly aspecting your eighth house, then you need to be careful because eighth house is also the house of extramarital affairs. Basically, what is eighth house? Eighth house is second from the seventh house. Excess of the seventh house, which is what? Excess of sexuality, that leads to extramarital affairs. When you are not happy with one person, then you might go to another person. Or it also represents gains of the marriage. That means if you are having a good relationship with your spouse, when Jupiter-Saturn aspects the eighth house, then your relationship with your spouse will improve because you will try to be more connected with your spouse. On the other hand, if your relationship with your spouse is not very great, then it is time you improve it because now the aspects will demand you to improve it. Okay. Now another time I will give another transit. Which is the planet that blasts suddenly? Bang! It's Rahu, right? Which means if Rahu is transiting your fifth house, Rahu primarily eighth house. Because Rahu only wants sexual encounters and indulgences. He's not very interested in long-term committed relationships. But still, if Rahu transits the fifth, seventh, or eighth house, or it transits your natal Venus. So now Rahu is in Cancer. Do you know anybody with Venus in Cancer? If you know and they are single, then call them and say, "Excuse me, my dear sir, your time has come now." But be careful with Rahu because Rahu is what? It's the smoke, it's the cloud, which you don't see. Even if you see, you don't see. You see me, I see you. So when Rahu transits your natal Venus, for example, now Rahu has entered Cancer, which means if somebody has Venus in Cancer, then it can trigger. And Rahu will suddenly bang out of nowhere. And I have known so many friends who have Venus in Leo. So many of my friends. Because Rahu was in Leo, right? From last 18 months, from January of 2016. And they have got into relationships. And it's very unusual, the kind of relationships they have gone into. Very unusual. Let me give you an example. Either the partner, suppose a boy has Venus in Cancer now, and now Rahu is over it. Either the girl will be from a foreign country or a different caste, creed, religion. Or let me give you an example. One of my friend, very close friend, he has Venus in Leo. And he is in Germany studying his masters. I will not tell the name of the university. Okay, let me tell. What a big deal. TU Chemnitz, Technical University of Chemnitz. He's studying masters there. I will not tell the name of the program. Let some security be maintained. Anyways, he won't mind if I say. But the point is, his Venus is in the sign of Leo in his original birth chart. and he's from Assam, the place from where I am, Guwahati. And December last year, he told me that I am into a relationship, and this fellow was single since the time he was born. I asked him, how come suddenly you have got into a relationship? I didn't mean that, oh, how can you come into a relationship? I just asked him that you were single since birth, and suddenly now what happened? How? Because he's 25, 26. Yeah, he just turned 26 this time. So then he answered me. Then I asked, okay, you are in foreign. Is it a German girl? Or is it an Indian girl? Or is she a Muslim? Because he's a Hindu. So Rahu means either it will be a different religion, or she will be a foreigner, or either ways. Because if she's a foreigner, it's highly likely that she will be a non-Hindu, because there are Hindus in foreign, but number is very less. So he said, no, the girl is a Hindu and she is a Assamese girl. I was like, seriously, you found a Assamese Hindu girl in your college? It's a bit strange. Can be possible. It's highly possible these days because many people from Assam have come to Germany. But still, the number is very less. But then this fellow said to me, no, she doesn't stay here. She stays in Guwahati. Then I was like, but then how? Were you in contact with her from before? Then he told me, no, she was with me in the same college where we studied engineering for 4 years. But we didn't talk. Suddenly, out of nowhere, we did not interact for the time of 4 years when we were in college. And then one day, when he came to Chemnitz, Germany, then he posted a status update in Facebook. And this girl was 1 year junior to him. And then she was in his friend list probably, or he was the mutual friend of somebody. And then what happened? She messaged him in private that congratulations, because he's also a senior of our college. So she was in fourth year, I guess, that time, and he had already passed. And she messaged him that congratulations for your admit. And then he saw the message and he said, yeah, thank you, who are you? Then they both started talking, and suddenly after a long time, after some time, they fell in love with each other and they went into the relationship. So see, Rahu is very weird. When you were sitting in the college, then nothing happened. But the moment you came to foreign, because Rahu represents foreign, either it's foreign culture or foreign tradition or something. So then the relationship happened. So that is it from my side. Transit of Sun, Venus, Mars, and combined effect of Jupiter-Saturn, and transit of Venus over natal Venus, and for women, transit of Mars over natal Venus or Venus over natal Mars, and transit of Rahu over the sign of Venus. Or even if Rahu transits 7th house or 11th house, even then this can happen. Because Rahu, if it transits the 11th house, will aspect the 7th house. And if it transits the 7th house, will also aspect the 11th house. That is it from my side. And before ending, God is there with you all the time. Just look to Him and He will help you to find somebody. That is it from my side. If you have any questions, queries, and comments, then please let me know down in the comment section. Until next time, bye bye. See you.